The winner of the latest viewer suggestion poll is Dead Cells. Yes, Dead Cells. And fine, okay, I'll play your little game. That little game being Dead Cells, a Castlevania action RPG with roguelike elements. It came out in early access in 2017, full release 2018, and has gotten 2 different DLCs since then. It is well known for its huge variety of weapons, very smooth, fast controls, and brutal, soul-crushing difficulty. But between the amount of time that I spent in this game and a healthy dose of editing, I'm sure it's probably not going to be too bad. Either way, at the very beginning here, it's very manageable. It's not until you start to get really into the new game pluses, known as boss cells here, that it gets very, very rough. But hey, let's just be thankful that I'm not going to be approaching that anytime soon. So the basics of the game, you got your jump, you got a double jump. Swing with your weapon, get like automatic combos just by mashing down the button. And of course, Dead Cells, Dark Souls, it's pretty easy to tell immediately. It wears its references on its sleeve. You got the dodge roll. The dodge roll will keep you safe from most attacks in the entire game, and is going to be your major way of doing anything defensively aside from just staying away from enemies. That huge variety of weapons does mean that you are going to be getting a lot of melee stuff, but also a lot of range stuff at the same time. It is a huge melange of different play styles that you can play here, with a bunch of different weapons and everything to go along with that. So yeah, automatic ledge grab, and drop down through one-way platforms. You can open doors, and you can also break down doors for a little bit of stunning and, just in general getting a huge advantage when going up against enemies. That's me. Yeah, you're playing as some sort of weird smoke-headed point of light type of character. I don't think he actually has a name. He's in the past he's been referred to as Hero. A lot of people call him the Beheaded, but he's just well, let's say this. Dead Cells is a game that's light on plot. I'm still going to be showing off all the lore rooms and everything like that, but it's not really there's not too much to be said about it. It is a game that very much sticks to the idea of being a video game. Non-stop, infinite action. I know a lot of people tend to pick up the beginner's bow, at least in all the series that I've seen, but I'm going to go with the shield, because one of the other really neat things about Dead Cells is that it does have a whole parry system and everything like that. Sometimes, will you attack me already so I can use this? Yeah, sometimes a little bit difficult to use and can be much like a Dark Souls original, very feast or famine type of mechanic where sometimes it's a lot more trouble than it's worth. However, I do think that, it does provide a interesting different dimension to the gameplay, as well as you would assume from a shield, providing a lot of defense. So I think it's worthwhile. Aside from that, you can see that thing that I picked up there is, well, the titular Dead Cell. An item of unimaginable power. It will let you unlock stuff. It's the meta currency of the game. You get your gold for buying stuff from shops, but you get your cells for unlocking the really good stuff. And otherwise, this is just a very nice, simple introduction to the entire game. The prisoner's cells is usually an area that you can get through very quickly. And in fact, Dead Cells is a game very much based around being... No, I was kind of hoping for it, but no. This Dead Cells is very much a game based around being extremely quick. There's a lot of stuff like timed doors that only open up after you've either killed enough enemies without taking damage. You can see the little skull in the bottom right corner showing that. Or just getting through the area fast enough. I think the very first one that you can... I didn't quite get it. The very first one that you can get here is 2 minutes, I believe. And that will net you a whole lot of extra money, extra cells. It's just a lot of great stuff. I mean, also going with the whole idea of Dead Cells being a very speed-oriented game, zombies don't really give a whole lot of loot. Sure, you can be fighting these guys, these poor souls inflicted with the curse of the undead. I think it's actually called malaise in this game. But it doesn't really do too much for you. You get a token amount of money, you might get a cell or two, but really, if you just go through each one of the areas fast enough, you're going to be getting more than enough cells to unlock pretty much anything you could possibly desire. We've got mysterious smiley face coffins. You can give them a rub, but Doesn't really do too much of anything right now. As well as this thing here. Can give it a tickle. Doesn't really do too much of anything. There's a lot of stuff to be unlocked even aside from weapons in the game, and that's when those types of things will start to become useful. Parries are pretty nice, but they are not nearly the amazing, like, game winner that they are all the way back in Dark Souls. Despite the fact that this game does take a lot of cues from how Dark Souls works, every individual weapon, like, has its own heft and, like, feeling when you're... You know, like, there's a very specific weight that every single weapon has, which I would say is similar to how you get in that game. It's not... You don't get everything. You don't get kicks to take down shields. The shield bearer enemies that I've been fighting right now are actually pretty, all things considered, pretty rare types of characters, so you don't have to worry too much about it. And parries aren't just an instant I win button. They just give you a little bit of stunning and a little bit of extra damage. All right, and here's where the whole idea of having a RPG system comes in. 3 different stats: brutality, tactics, survival. They each got their pluses. Brutality's kind of like the melee, the damage over time one. Tactics is your range, and skill focused one. That's the RT, LT items that I haven't even picked up any yet. And survival is survival. You get extra health, and you get some really, really killer perks called mutations in this game for it. But the weapons are slow, and they usually leave you pretty open to getting attacked. I think for the very start here, brutality is a nice all-around type of thing. Tactics is sort of your glass cannon type of build, and early on here, I think it is very much a usable type of stat to go for, but I think I would much rather have just, you know, go for something that is going to be good the entirety of the game. And I do think Dead Cells is a game where you really just want to kind of stack everything into one stat. Not every single thing that you're going to find is going to be a scroll of power. There are also, in fact, a lot of the scrolls that you're going to find that aren't scrolls of power are ones that only have 2 stats, and they're the ones that you haven't been building towards. Med kits and healing things. I mean, it's a specific option you can turn on. Maybe I'll just go for the classic carnivore for right now. Purely aesthetic, as it says. But hey, this is the one you start out with. This is the one that I feel like is the classic type of thing. Dead Cells is also a very dour and gloomy game, so the little lore that you are going to be finding is maybe not the most pleasant stuff. I'll warn you about that one right now. Oh boy, oh boy. And yeah, I'm going to be taking my way nice and slow through this first area, but I think past this point, this is just a random item. It's not anything very special, and frankly, I'm not even going to bother taking that. Freezing enemies sure is nice, but I want to keep the shield. Shield's good. Shields are good in this game. Actually, no, I was just saying I'm not going to stick around here for too long, but I don't think there's too much else I can do right now. I got the 30 kills, at least for the kill door, as you can call it. Ooh, and here, the first type of secondary item, skill as they're called. Throw it down, it's got a cooldown, and this one will freeze enemies in place, and if enemies aren't facing you, they're pretty easy to take down. You can do a lot of extra damage against them. I think it's pretty obvious what that's going to do. And as you can see with the red background on that item, that would be an actual brutality scaling item that I would really like right now, but not really going to be coming up. It's strange that I got the purple outfit right now. Normally your character is more of like a red theme. I swear that I turned off in options, throwing on like random outfits. Nope, I didn't. Oh well. Trust me, the usual outfit that you get from that is different. All right, the in-between areas is kind of your rest places where you can fill up on health, maybe get a little goodies if you fulfilled whatever the, I guess you could call them quests in the previous area are. Also get some decent items in here too, and you can see they have like a little arrow above them. It means they're upgraded. Having an infantry grenade plus is much better than having a rusty sword 1. Man, that doesn't even get any explanation. It is a sword. It is the worst sword. If I can switch this out for just about anything else, I'd be happy. Oh, well, look at this entirely non-suspicious character. No. No, what about the Tomb Raider at the very beginning that told me about the Curse of the Undead? Yeah, I know the deal. Like I said, you know, you got cells for your meta upgrades, the stuff that goes in between runs, you know, unlocking new items, unlocking new abilities, everything like that. And then you got money just for money. Which, by the way, oh, there was that shop back there. I didn't even talk to the guy because I was on too much of a tear otherwise trying to explain everything else going on. Gold reserves. If I can get away with not dying, I might not even need to do that. Though it might be worth saving up for the health flask, too. I think you probably want to get as many of those as possible. Everything else is, like, not going to be able to unlock any of these for a while. 19 more items. Quite a few. Sure. Hey, money can be valuable. Being able to buy stuff from shops, that's a very easy way to get a lot of upgrade type stuff in the game. You can also break down this door, too, if you want to hold on to your cells. I'm not going to bother too much with that right now. Then here's your mutations. They're your perks. Some of them scale with each one of your stats. You know, brutality, tactics, survival, respectively. With necromancy being one of the best ones you can possibly take in the game. I mean, even through end game, it is still absolutely amazing just to keep you in the game at all points in time. Then ammo, not very useful right now. Dead inside? Food no longer heals you, which is kind of a problem, but I think I'm going to take the YOLO. That one goes away after the very first area, so, you know, you take it or you lose it. And I think that for right now, knowing that I don't really have a whole lot of those unlocked, I'm probably going to want to grab that as soon as possible. Hey, just keeping myself alive is going to go a long way. And then, because, you know, you can, you got secrets. And here is a blueprint. These are the things you're going to be using to mostly unlock stuff. This one is an item, and it's a pretty decent item. I would say it's actually very good for the start of the game. Would definitely recommend picking that thing up. Because one of the great things about unlocking stuff at the Collector is that he gives you kind of like a sample item immediately. And for one of your... Oh, come on now. And for one of your very early runs, just being able to kind of pick and choose your items is going to be worth a lot. I mean, I do think just in general, you know, when you're on the very first type of run, Boss Cell 0, as you can call it. There we are. Boss Cell 0, as you can call it. You can pretty much mess around with anything, still have a pretty good run going on. I would actually say maybe you want to go for survival specifically because you get so much extra health, and like I said, necromancy is just so good. And there's one of those not power skulls that I was talking about. And one of those more annoying enemies is just a training dummy that has a bunch of electricity going around it. I'll take that. Blood Sword. Sword that causes bleeding. It's alright. I think that even right now... Why am I messing up so many parries? I'm usually not this bad at it. Well, here, why don't I actually start using some of the items I have? I mean, the cooldown isn't that long after all. It's not like you get a limited amount of them. I mean, there's something like the infantry grenade is so basic and so simple that it's very spammable. Oh, yeah, and also one of the things that I didn't even talk about is that the infantry grenade has 2 affixes on it. It's bleeding targets, victims' remains explode. Actually, the remains exploding is one of the better ones that you can get. That'll deal a lot of damage to enemies that are kind of around those explosions. So that's nice to have on here. But as you get a little bit farther in the game, I think what you really want to be looking for is just more damage. Stuff like that bleed ones. One of the best ones is like 100% on poison. It is something that you really should be looking forward to if you can. And even a little bit later on, you can kind of change those up in the middle of runs if you get a little bit of money. So, super worth it. Here's the first elite. A more powerful version of these characters. This guy shoots out 2 arrows and is just tougher in general. When you get them to half health, they suddenly gain the ability to teleport to you. Not that it mattered because To be honest, Wolf Trap is one of the best items you can get in the game. And boy, oh boy, can it really get a lot of enemies down very quickly. So, runes. These are the one type of upgrade that are not going to require cells to unlock. They're kind of your general, like, improvement to your character entirely, giving you sometimes new abilities, improved versions of stuff like something that I never even showed off, the ground slam. If you press down and jump again when you're when you're jumping, just slam down on the ground. But this first one it unlocks these tickly vine things. It's not, I mean, sure, it's nice to have it, and you're going to need to kind of progress in the game, but there's better ones out there. Not going to be getting those for a little while because it's going to require some more of the rune upgrades to kind of unlock. It is a thing. And I'm still, I think after the first area, it goes from, there we are. It goes from 30 kills to 60 kills that you need to get into each one of the doors. And I do think that, as much as I would like to get that, probably not going to happen. I'm still going to make an attempt, though. This is early on in the game. This is early on in the game, and it's not going to get any easier from this point. So I might as well at least attempt to try and get some of these goodies before. Well, you know what? No, never mind. It's so easy to lose this. Oh, well, that's why you got like a potion charge and everything too. I think it specifically heals, what, 60% of your health? And what is up with it? Yeah, sure. Get all those sick Chivos, why not? Well, anyway, heals about 60% of your HP, but, you get a refill at the end of each area for now. Don't worry about what I said there. And yeah, you're going to start to see actual enemies appearing, actual elites appearing around here. Right. Got to get them down to 60 HP first. And unlike the guys that were giving me runes, these ones start to have special abilities. It's very Diablo style. Back in the day, it used to be that they would just spawn a bunch of little tiny enemies constantly around you. I don't know if this is necessarily better or worse. Oh boy, oh boy. And what a fun affix to get on there. You know what, I'm early in the game. I am totally willing to I'm totally willing to add a little bit of spice to the run, make things interesting while it's still possible. Oh boy, it's the Spartan sandals. Well, okay, these things, I've been playing this game for quite a while, actually since it was in early access. Actually, since it wasn't even just in early access, but before it even got any major updates. The only people that could have been around longer than me is if it was in, like the alpha version of it. And it was super useless back in the day. These days it's a little bit better, but it's one of those things that is, I would actually kind of like this, but whatever. Doing that unlocks it too. So I just want to kind of get that out of the way. Yeah. Based around pushing around enemies, which is pretty fun. That is a good question. You'll be seeing a lot more of this guy. I mean, needless to say, considering that he is the king of this godforsaken, plague-infected island, that he's going to be something of a character. I mean, even if he had nothing to do with the virus. And there's no proof of that one way or another just yet. Wink, wink. He is, obviously the deciding factor behind a lot of the prison and, other types of cages and chains all around on these trees and other minor to major atrocities that you're going to be seeing later on. Is he a nice guy? Well, I mean, you never know. He might be like a King Vendrick type of character where it was mostly like a victim of circumstance. Or he could just be an utterly terrible person and, well, Dead Cells, man. It is, I told you before, that it is a game that delights in being quite edgy in one way or another. Pitch black humor at best and just hopelessness at worst. I ran right into that, didn't I? No, well, some of these traps should not be too bad. I mean, you should be able to maneuver your way around spikes. Nothing I can do here. It's too bad. I'd like to go into the prison depths there and get some good stuff down that area, but not for now. Yeah, it's not too hard to maneuver your way around there, but still get caught by it pretty often nonetheless. All right, well, hey, at least the 2 times damage thing working out pretty well so far. I'm happy with how this is going, even though I don't think it's really gonna result in me getting that cool kill door that I would normally be able to do. It's very frustrating. I told you, it's not a nice game. But what is nice is getting 75% reduction on projectiles. Hey, if I'm gonna be taking 100% damage on everything, I'll lower that to 25% damage, you know, just with a necklace alone. I think that's kind of like your basic, you can describe it as your armor in the game. What you do is you just use that as, I'm gonna drop down here. You just use that as a way to get extra stats as they get more powerful later on, or like some sort of powerful affix on them. 75% damage reduction is pretty good. There's even one that gives you invisibility that allows you to just walk by enemies for the entire game. It is the one thing in the game that I've seen that's been like truly overpowered. Ah, dang, I didn't even get the 8 minutes one. Well, Collect Man, give me... this is Dead Cells. If any of you kids are unaware, that's a reference to a movie that came out 14 years ago at this point. So, you know. Light but deadly if you know how to use it. Pretty happy with the twin daggers. This game being made by Motion Twin, I guess that's kind of their signature weapon for right now. You know what? Give me the health flask. I feel like it'd save everybody a lot of trouble if I could just kill that guy right now. And I'll take Dead Inside. I think that is a pretty solid take at the beginning. As long as you're careful, you don't need to worry about losing out on food or anything. At least for now. As long as I'm careful. As long as I don't run into many more spikes and ball and chain traps, I should be totally okay. I do like these backgrounds. Very nice. Very Dark Souls 3 in a lot of ways. I think I've compared it to that before. Jesus. But hey, already getting the next rune. And it's just going up against one of these basic zombie guys. Yeah, the last hit of that combo took him out no problem at all. And that nets you a very important rune in the game. The customization rune. Allows you to pick and choose what weapons that you want on the run. And you might think of that as being, well, hey, I can even show it right now if I want. Just got to make sure that I don't accidentally, like, not choose the thing I got there. Good preview of everything that I'm going to be unlocking in the game. Jeez. As well as the items that I have unlocked right now. But yeah, you can kind of pick and choose what weapons are even going to be appearing in your runs. And although some stuff will disable achievements, nothing disables progress. So, to be honest, use it. Like, it is... I've had some people, like, talk about in the past. Hey, do you think it's cheating to use that? Absolutely not. They put it in the game. It's a big old rune that you get almost immediately. Take advantage of it as much as you can. Use it to get all the unlocks and everything that you want. If you want to play on normal, you know, everything. Hey, nice. Ice shield. Shield that causes ice. I mean, I gave up the ability to freeze enemies earlier, so I just in the way that's going to be better than an old wooden shield, I'm probably going to use it. But I'm not really going to prioritize it as anything to unlock right now. I want to be picky and choosy about what you're using your cells on. You don't get a whole lot of them at the beginning. And getting like all the really good items, of which stuff like the Assassin's Dagger I think might be good, especially if I decide to continue on with the Wolf Trap here. Prevents enemies from turning around, and that thing gets critical hits on enemies' backs. So it's worth it. Well, anyway. Yeah. Use that customization rune, and I am definitely going to be using it for every run past this point. I've already got most of the achievements unlocked, and that's really the only reason that you would not want to not use it, except unless you know, as a point of pride or for some sort of challenge for yourself. It is there. Motion Twin has balanced the game around using it. Get the most out of it that you possibly can. Do Motion Twin proud. By the way, they are a company that apparently prior to making Dead Cells, which is I guess kind of no effect. I forgot. I got the mutation on that prevents me from taking healing from that. Yeah, prior to seems a little bit better than what I got right now. I mean, nothing's really scaling with brutality otherwise. Yeah, they used to be making a whole lot of mobile games, and then from what I understand, they decided to make Dead Cells here, which has since become like an indie critical darling, just on the idea that they wanted to make a hardcore action RPG type of thing, and they didn't really care if anybody was actually going to play it, which is why it was so different from some of their previous stuff. But these days, I mean, given how successful I know that this has been, I'm sure you probably heard about this game a lot before I'm covering it on the channel here. It is probably like the main focus I'd like to think of the company these days. Definitely be interested in seeing anything else. Although, hey, if they just want to keep working on this game forever, you know, make like a Binding of Isaac type of deal, I'd be okay with that too. Dead Cells is a game. I mean, you know, I was talking a little bit earlier how it's got like very smooth, fluid controls. To be honest, if this is like your first time picking it up, look at this guy. Yeah, maybe kind of prioritize taking him out. He's even got his own rolling move to dodge around your stuff. That's where stuff like stunning comes in. Yeah, as well as I saying here. Hey, nice, and that's a mutation one. Tactics mutation, so probably not going to get too much of a use out of it here, but hey, it's good. It's good. Well, anyway, what was I saying? Yes. If this was your first time playing the game, you know, feeling these controls, it might actually feel like a little bit squirrely just trying to control this guy. But once you start to get to really get used to it, it becomes like a pretty fluid, pretty accurate. The only thing I would suggest is really play with like D-pad so you don't accidentally like walk down these chains a lot. I know that I've heard a lot of people having trouble with that before, so just be careful. And this is, I think, the first time that I'm going to be using one of these turret type of things. Apparently Dead Cells was originally created as like a tower defense type of game, and this sort of exists still here. As long as you're close enough to each one of these turrets, it will just automatically fire at enemies. Are they overpowered? A little bit. I mean, they're a very passive way to do damage. You just set it and forget it. Not even a problem at all. But of course, they're not very strong right now because I'm working with a brutality run. And each one of your weapons only scales with whatever the highest of your stats is, even if they have like 2 different stats that they'll scale with. So if, for example, I had something that scaled with brutality tactics, they'll only ever scale with brutality if you have more brutality than tactics. Sure, I would like to get, you know, a quality build, as you would say all the way back in Demon Souls, out of every item that you can get, where they'll both benefit from 2 different stats, but nah, that's a rare item, and it's actually a very good one of the turrets. It's actually a very basic turret, but it's, you know, a very basic turret is still very good. And something that just is, man, I'm just getting blueprints all around here. I want to make sure that I talk to the collector guy to at least have them banked for future runs if I'm not going to be outright unlocking them here. There's some good stuff. We'll be seeing a little bit more of that actually way later on. That is something that you can see immediately, but it does not even become slightly relevant until much later. Yeah, here's like the dual stuff, survival tactics, pure survival, and starting to, as you get more and more powerful versions of these items, they become more and more affix-filled as well as powerful, or they'll heal more, or, you know, one way or another. They'll gain increased effectiveness in one way or another. Usually it's through the affixes, though. That's really what you're going to be looking for. I'm glad that I wasn't trying to exit this area already. I do think even if you're not going to be fighting every single one of the enemies you're coming across, you do want to at least make like a good sweep around each one of the sections to make sure that you're trying to find every single stat that you possibly can. It used to be back in the day that enemies would scale with the number of stats that you got. But they changed that up, so now you just take as many as you possibly can, even if you're not going to be using them for power. They are at least giving you extra health. Like, really try to get as much survival and everything as possible. Of course, it tells you how much extra health they're going to be giving, so pay attention to that, is what I'd say. 0 effect, hooray! Should probably start using my potion charge here. These guys are just the bane of my existence. Inquisitors, they're called. They shoot out beams and they will shoot through walls, which is something that you don't really have the same ability to do. The best you can do is just parry their attacks with shields and stay out of their way. I guess is my advice on the subject. It can be frustrating, especially if you decide to take something that gives you 2 times damage. I've played this game enough that I think that sometimes there's like a maybe? Oh, yep, there is. Yeah, full on Dark Souls 3, I told you. Remember your Dark Souls type of stuff, because it'll be very useful for unlocking things sometimes. Yeah, I could have also like tried to throw this over here, which would have maybe been a better idea in retrospect, but Nerves of Steel. I think like starting up each episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a couple things mostly unlocked, and then I'll kind of show them off the first time that I get to the collector. I think that'll be the best way to kind of like show each one of the new items. Otherwise, I'll make like a token attempt to, at least early in the game, show off some of the items. Oh wait, I can't even climb up here yet. No, that's going to be a while. That's going to be sometime. I'll make kind of a token attempt to at least make like a different type of run, but when I start to get a little bit later into the game, I'm going to really start to focus on what are the most powerful builds that I can create, just so that we're not going to be spending a million years. I think that overall this series is probably going to run, like, you get up to New Game +5, and you still get stuff, so that'll be kind of the end point. And I'll try to have everything unlocked that I possibly can, but as you get into the game, it gets pretty grindy, so don't expect a 100% save file here. So many blueprints. Too bad Frostbite is not the most impressive thing. Support, though, can be good. It's just a DPS plus when you're next to a deployed skill, which is any turret or a couple things like the wolf trap you saw earlier. Nerves of Steel. You work on your timing. And everything else. I mean, like I said, crossbow-matic is just a basic type of turret. And it's good damage, and it shoots at multiple enemies. Turrets are very good in this game. If you can get a good turret, you're going to be on easy street. Especially as you'll see a little bit later on, maybe a couple turrets even outside of tactics runs. It's possible. It's not easy, but it is possible. Okay, let's at least like get a couple of these. Worst comes to worst, I will at least be able to keep some of my stuff. And this is 5 more items. I guess go for something that's cheap and a basic upgrade. I'm not going to worry too much about unlocking a bunch of different items for right now. I think the basic upgrades are way more important than going for some real basic type of anything that I would want here. Let's just go for combo. Why not? More DPS. Yeah, unlocking your basic upgrades is going to be way more important than hanging on to your cells or unlocking a bunch of different types of weapons. I really think like you can beat the game with just about any sort of item that you got in your arsenal. So get to kind of focus on like one type of build and then do better as you go on, and like pick and choose later on. So I got the first boss here. He's Concierge. He's not the toughest guy. He mostly just walks towards you and tries punching you. Boy, he yells an awful lot, though, and when he yells, he'll just force you away from him. Now, the more dangerous thing about this guy is the fact that he's got this, especially after he goes through like a phase change, after which he has like 12, he will put out this damage field. It's very Smelter Demon from Dark Souls 2, if you played that. It's dangerous, but manageable. Just don't let him catch you in the corner. That sort of thing will result in a very quick death sentence or just like being dangerous. Then as he gets a little bit lower, Starts sweeping the ground like those enemies appropriately called sweepers that you saw in the previous area. And we'll also start jumping at you. The jumping is actually a blessing because that means that he's not going to be trapping you in the corner because he's going to be spending too much time working on his mad ups. I'm happy about that, though. Overall, he's the easiest boss in the game, and really the boss that I'd like to fight more than any other, but there are multiple bosses you can fight. Oh, I didn't even realize that he has got a new first thing to drop here, which is the flint item. It's just his hand on a stick, yes. Yes, I know, it's pretty dumb. It's also not a super great weapon, but the other thing is another rune. Not as impressive as the other ones that I've been getting, though. It just unlocks daily mode. Yeah. I guess I'll do it because there are some blueprints to be unlocked there, but I'm not... I've never been somebody to do a whole lot of multiplayer type of stuff, so that's fine. No, the real reason that you want to make sure that you're not getting pushed in the corner is that much like a game like Enter the Gungeon, you do get rewards for not getting hit by the bosses. Thankfully, it's not as much as like giving you permanent health upgrades when that happens, but it's pretty good. Wow, like very good. Like this is just a straight up upgrade compared to what I got. Also, it is considered a legendary item. You can see by that fancy golden border, which means that I don't have to have brutality to make this work for me. It's also like pre-upgraded, so it's even giving me a stat just taking it, as well as a bunch of extra damage, a bunch of extra affixes. It's amazing. It's an amazing like get right now, even though I would kind of like to keep that 100% damage given and taken. And I could take both of them at the same time, but what's the point? I think the best way to play this game is one attacking item and one like defensive type of item. Why is everybody so much taller than me in this game? Also, are you like a prisoner or something? What? Why are you guys maybe like they're the one guys that are unaffected by the plague. The plague. Yeah, well, you at least look somewhat more trustworthy, but and you know, increasing the amount of quality items you'll see is worth it. But not until you start to get a little bit more into the game. I think for right now, really just want to focus on trying to get as many things upgraded as possible. You know, like unlocking a bunch of stuff, not getting things upgraded. Getting character upgrades rather than item upgrades. Item upgrades are great. They're really good. I mean, you know how I got like the stat on the Twin Daggers right now? That will be true for every item I find later on, as soon as I get some of those as soon as I get the forge upgraded. But for right now, let's just focus on, you know, maybe like getting something that isn't the garbage starting shield at the beginning. You know, stuff like that. And you know, I never actually talked to Gyan here. And I've been taking his great mutations this entire time, but I haven't really gotten to know him. What's up with you? I'm glad I got to know him. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, I have the wrong outfit on because I had random outfit selected, but normally you would look more like the guys in the pile there. This disgusting, disgusting pile. In some of the old updates, he used to actually manage like a tiny store that would sell 2 items at a time. Yeah, they sure do. They sure do. Well, I guess I don't really have to worry too much about what they smell like, considering that main character Smokehead Man does not have a nose. A blessing and a curse in some ways. Stilt Village. You like Bloodborne? I hope you like Bloodborne, because here's the fishing hamlet, basically. With a whole host of new enemies. They're all going down very quickly because, oh god, I'm so glad that I got these Twin Daggers in the previous area. You can get some real great advantages when it comes to, oh boy, when it comes to getting legendary items. This is, like the fact that they can scale with anything. If I was working with like a survival run right now, I would be on easy street, baby. A nice fast weapon as opposed to the slow ones that you would normally have to deal with. Oh, it's amazing. It is an amazing get, and it's a huge boon to some runs. Of course, it is entirely random what actually decides to show up, but you know what I'm talking about here. I'm actually very happy with this. As long as I can stay at full health, I'm going to be very, very nice. I mean, I'm only losing out on 50% damage right now compared to what I had before. So these crabby fellows are considered weird warriors. They also are followers of the twin blades. It's just of a little bit more, wait, it's actually less powerful than what I got right now with the other thing. Oh, forget about that then. The katanas they're actually new in this latest update. And I haven't really seen too much of them until now. Ooh, Shotzi Trail of Flames. But I already got some, but it's already given me, like, oil. Forget about that. Wolf Trap could be nice, but I should try to find something else that's brutality scaling. And the crabs that walk around with katanas also doesn't really fit with the whole, like, undead monster aesthetic going on. So, I don't know. Hey, anything to get those cool katanas in the game. You can't get any katanas, but the crabs get them. Motion Twin, as developers decided, the crabs deserve these things much more than you. Good parry. This parry's difficult to nail sometimes, but you get that timing down, it's pretty great. And you can also maybe do some stuff up here, some stuff that absolutely defies the laws of physics, but not right now. That's going to be later, and I'm glad that I didn't accidentally fall into spikes trying to show that off. That would have been embarrassing. Yeah, the latest update here for the game, which actually just came out pretty recently. It's a good time to be starting up this series. Although maybe like after the oh boy. Don't accidentally get stuck in there. I guess I got no choice. I can't really jump up high enough. No, just jump down. Oh, come on. Fine. Can I just get up there already? There, or just stomp down then, I guess. That works too. Early versions of the game, you could actually get stuck in the corner there. It was real fun. All right, let's get a cool parry. Look like a cool guy here. Good enough. All right, anyway. Yeah, just Dead Cells lives up to its name in a whole bunch of ways. It is very much based around fighting a bunch of undead dudes. Whether that's a classic, like, I mean, it started out as tower defense, and it started out as tower defense against hordes of zombies. I mean, aside from that, you know, the whole Dark Souls comparisons also parry. There we go. Also means that you would be seeing, right, I gotta go through this again, though. The whole Dark Souls thing, you know, you get, like, the Curse of the Undead and everything like that. Either way, it gives me the excuse to beat up a bunch of undead guys, which, given my, like, old school, hey, nice. Old school, for real, roguelike past. Let me tell you, there is nothing. Wow, 2 stats? The 75 damage reduction, oil. The oil's not all that useful, but I'll take everything else. I'm always down with fighting a bunch of undead monstrosities because I feel like if I was ever going to choose, you know, I would probably be like a paladin in any sort of your D&D type of games just because I want turn undead. I hate fighting undead. You know what it's like to fight a lich in like NetHack? You know what it's like to fight a lich in like ADOM? Those things are nightmares. A greater lich will like single-handedly end some very powerful runs if you're not careful. And not even because of the undeadness themselves. They can also summon up a bunch of ghosts to magically age you into dust. It's horrible. You find a greater undead crypt in one of those games, and you're gonna have a problem. Of course, I'd like to say in a game that's more planned around being based, you know, planned around fighting the undead, it's a little bit easier. Still got the whole idea of the hordes of undead attacking you. Dead Cells is a game where individual enemies are not the most threatening, but groups of them will take you down lickety-split. And given that this is a roguelite style, that means you're going all the way back to the beginning each time you die. You do get to keep a lot of the upgrades and every single item that you unlock and everything like that, which is why having stuff like the customization rune is very helpful. But it can be frustrating. Let's get some lore. Well, maybe not that much lore, I guess. Well, yeah, probably not. Probably not? Probably not. How do you even swallow stuff? Do you just shove it down your neck hole? Jeez. I told you, this game, he's a real downer. Anyway, watch out for, ooh, first challenge rift, finally. These things just have a random chance of appearing in any one of the areas, but they are 100%, wow, and another legendary item. And it's a real good one too. And it also gives me like poison synergy potential, burning oil, which I guess I'm gonna get rid of my way of doing burning oil. But hey, if I can get like 100% on poison, which is one of the best affixes you can get in the game, that's amazing. And hey, it's one of the few times you're going to be able to see two items at the same time when you get a legendary one, because otherwise it overwrites it unless you're using the customization rune options. But I feel like, you know, I don't think turning off items is cheating. I do think that it gets a little bit more ethically questionable when you start to like disable stuff like no, you can use two of the same item. Well, anyway, talking about the challenge rift here. Yeah, you can just find them randomly on the ground. You gotta activate them, and they give you a challenge. And the first time you fight them, this ghost legionnaire telling you about it. Ghosts don't really appear in this game otherwise, so this is kind of a weird aberration. Oh, and I'm going to. Yeah. You do have to go through a little bit of a little bit of an obstacle course, but you know, you get a blueprint here. I get a stat. You get a free stat, you know, on top of all the stats you're finding in other areas, and you get an amulet. And the amulets, as you can see, can be pretty powerful and a pretty good source of stats. Of course, you do have to deal with this, but I'll take it. Come on, man. You looking at this? It's not that difficult to do. And really, being only on, I do have 50 kills though, so you probably want to try to at least get to 60. And just kind of pick and choose your route well, you know, maybe wait for some of these traps to fire off. But you get a free stat out of it. Free stat, free cells, a blueprint the first time you open it up. And a roll at getting some real great, and you know, a chance to get some really great, nothing here is really good. Really great affixes on your necklace. It is, I think it's 100% worth going for those, unless you are really like low on health, you think you're about to die. Maybe not try your luck at that point. But if you got some potion charges left, if you can spend some money on like healing, especially in a place like this, which has a food shop in it, and a few sources of healing that aren't in between levels or just randomly dropped by enemies, I think it's 100% always worth taking those. It is super worthwhile. And you can see that they show on the minimap what each one of these doors are going to do. Ooh, I saw you. Doesn't really matter. I guess I can sell it for 80 gold. Real big spender here. Yeah, it's like it tells you what each one of these maps are. Not that every single one of them is going to be useful at this point in the game, but soon enough. I'd like to get that 60 kill door if I can. I don't think it's going to be happening. Alright, well, whatever. Use the village key. This is kind of my only option. Into the clock tower, because I told you, it's Castlevania. This game is very, very just hugely based on Castlevania. And usually I'm not as huge of a fan of like your Metroid-style games. I like them, but I usually like them for... when it comes to Metriod... I was going to say Metriod? How do you make a typo when you're speaking? Anyway, when it comes to Metroid-style games, I usually prefer... you know, ones that have like more of a focus on fighting enemies and less of a focus on exploring around. And that's why I think I usually make an exception for this game more than a lot of other things. Just in general, sure, I mean, it's going to be way better than the old Wooden Shield after all. I think just in general, this game is way more of an action RPG than it is like Metroid, Castlevania style, which is why I enjoy it a lot more than those. I mean, I've played like 200 hours of Hollow Knight and everything too, so I can't really get up on some sort of high horse about how I wouldn't like, let those games touch my distinct gamer palate or something like that. But still, I think this one's a little bit different in a way that I like. So this dude, the Clandestine Forge, appears after you beat your first boss. And he's now going to be sitting next to Guion the entire time. He can upgrade stuff. He can re-roll the affixes like I was talking about before. That's what I am talking about. I got a version of poison. I got a version of bleeding. This also makes it bleed. God, one of the great things about legendary items is that they always have one of those star affixes on them. And since it's a lowered reroll cost as part of its whole suite of benefits you get from getting one of these things, getting a good one and then just re-rolling it to have some sort of super overpowered set of affixes on it is a real viable way to actually play the game. Other than that, I'll upgrade this. Yeah, thaw more slowly. Sounds good. And maybe, yeah, this is all a lot of really good stuff. I mean, I'd love to also re-roll this to try to get like poison and bleed on here too, but bleed is going to be a lot more common with the mixed victims bleed. Yeah, you hear that, Collector? I don't even need your blood sword. I already got my bloody swords as they are. Okay, and then I'll stick with what I got. Why not? It's fine. It's a good set of stuff. All right. Yeah, like I was saying, Clock Tower. It is a clock tower. Great music, a lot more Dark Souls 3 style imagery in the background. Very vertically oriented. And you know, this is a staple of the Castlevania games if you haven't played them. Like Stage 6 all the way back in the original Castlevania was the Clock Tower stage. And then from that point, you would always pretty much rely on some sort of Clock Tower stage being in a game. Remember the one all the way back in Castlevania 3, Curse of Dracula. Had some real unique music comparatively. Just gotta make sure that you're getting each one of these teleporters so it's easier to move around. This doesn't quite have like Enter the Gungeon style, being able to, at any point in time, at any point in time, those enemies are rough. Warp back to a teleport point, but hey, it's still pretty close. So these guys are called cannibals. They are some real hardcore dudes. Make sure you got your parrying on point or that you are very fast when approaching them, because they will throw down a retaliatory grenade, run away, and then try to do their big leaping slashes at you. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm glad that I just had an invincibility shield already from teleporting there. And then those guys are the other kind of rough enemies to be fighting in this area, automatons. They're, I guess from their name, they're like artificial constructs that will be invisible and dash at you when you get near them. Dead Cells does start to pick up the difficulty pretty quickly. Oh, well, I got one of the parries. It does start to pick up the difficulty pretty quickly after you get past the first boss. You know, those worms in the previous area were teleporting towards me. Even though they take very little to take them down, it's still mighty frightening nonetheless. Oh, well, and then like these enemies and in the next area, the next enemies that are going to be coming up are starting to get big step-ups. Thankfully, like I said, zero boss cell difficulty. Yeah, gotcha. Got you. Zero boss cell difficulty, not too bad. Why is my parry game so bad right now? I don't even need... You know, here's the point in time that I'm going to start practicing what I preach and just running past the enemies. They don't drop that much loot. Those guys, Dark Trackers, do teleport after you, and after they aggro on you, but even then, they're going to be taken down pretty quickly because I got a pretty nice run going on right now. There's a lot of good stuff here. I mean, I've gotten some great synergies, even though this is still only zero cell difficulty. Usually, items also become more powerful as you increase the difficulty, and that means more affixes from the very beginning, and that means, and you know, once you start to unlock stuff, you can get more and more. You can get more and more items that have better and better synergies with them. But for right now, I mean, I've actually made like a pretty nice little run that still scales entirely with one singular stat and everything. It is. This is going very nice for your early game Dead Cell type of deal. Like I said, late game it becomes. You can get so much more stuff going on but it's just hard to do right now, and yet it's still happening anyway. 21 cells, and as you start to get farther too, they also start to be a little bit nicer with the cell drop rate. To be honest, if I was just going to be grinding up stuff, I'd be going through the first area over and over. I got 20 cells by getting into that 30 kill door. If I can do that, if I can also do it within 2 minutes, that's a lot of meta upgrades that I can be getting right off the bat. This is, and I'll say this too, it is a very refreshing change from a lot of other roguelike type stuff, because you don't have to worry too much about the luck of the draw as far as what you're getting. Usually, like, luck just results in you getting an overpowered run rather than a run that's possible to beat in the first place. It's Dead Cells is a very much fairer game than, say, your Binding of Isaacs or whatever. 15% damage is nice and everything, but like I said, I don't think you should. I like having the shield for the backup as far as power, you know, making sure that I can, and leaving power to my, wow, that took him out right away. And leaving, you know, all the powerful strikes to my daggers. That's what I want here more than anything else. And got that, and roll through. That invincibility from rolling really does cover an awful lot in the game, and that's good. Anytime you see one of these doors, this leads to a lore room, which is, you know, like I said, a little too big. They're like floating or something. They just... No, I've seen some of the weapons you can get later in the game. They are not too big for you. I like it. I think it's cool. Yeah, the clock tower is also not just a way to tell time. Apparently it has time dilation shenanigans. Oh, no, I am. Look in that drawer. I mean, it's okay. Let's be honest here. I got stuff working with my main stat, and that's all I want. All 100% into damage. That's how I play video games. I'm not going to stop anytime soon. Okay, let's... I guess, yeah, there's not really too much to do, because this key should open up the only route that I can use to get out of here. Clockmaker's key. And everything else looks pretty well explored. This is the point in time when I want to start really prepping myself up for a little bit later in the run. If I don't already have, you know, everything in place and ready to go, well, this is kind of like your last opportunity to do it. And everything else, you know, I could re-roll stuff. I don't really like the fact that shield is only scaling with survival, but I'll take what I can right now. There's not a whole lot of shields that don't scale with survival. Survival is your slow weapon and your shield items, really. Slow items, shield items. All right, second boss. The Timekeeper. Fighting her, you like Bloodborne references once again? And it's Lady Maria, hey. But thankfully with this amazing build that I got going on, it's working out quite well. Get that synergy on there and mad damage. This character is very quick, will throw a lot of range attacks at you, and has multiple phases that are also kind of difficult to deal with. Oh, but with this sort of build, I guess we'll see a little bit more of her attacks the next time I come in here. What can I say? I'm just too damn good. Yoink. Light speed. Toxic Cloud with each hit. Also great for like the poison synergy, but I'm not going to worry about it. I already got poison synergy with my grenades. What a good run. But do keep in mind that this is like new game difficulty, and much like Dead Cells or Dark Souls, new game plus, it's real. Are you kidding me? No, this is stupid. I'm not going to take a second one here. What sort of madness am I trying to go into right now? You know what? I want to see. Is this enough? Hey, 5%? 5% is not nothing. I'll take a little bit of an upgrade. Oh, yes. Make sure to do that. Yeah, Lightspeed is actually an ability that the Timekeeper has. Didn't really get to see it there. Like I said, don't worry, there will be more opportunities. I'll be showing off each one of the bosses and at least their full move set over the course of this series. rather than just blitzing them down immediately. But hey, you know, if you can, why not? Yeah. All right, up into the castle, which I guess is built on the very peak of the world. I don't know. Whatever. These enemies in here start to get quite difficult. These Lancer guys that actually use a weapon that you can get yourself, but I don't have right now. To just those guys who also use a weapon that you can get yourself, but they use it in a much more original way. You can parry that, which is fun, but I don't know how often it's really... Yeah, I'll take that. Powerful Grenade is actually a genuinely really great weapon, and one that I'm probably going to be unlocking sooner than later. But yeah, that spinning attack. If you don't have a shield, shield does, each time you get hit, give you like a little bit of an invincibility barrier around you, just for a half a second. But it will prevent you from, say, having spinning attacks kill you instantaneously, which will happen. Darkest Dungeon and Dark Souls. Just the two dark paintings right next to each other. Anyway. So the big gimmick around the castle is that you're trying to find these doors, which will lead you into like little sub-areas. I call them like laboratories. Like this one is the alchemic laboratory. There's also like a botanic laboratory and a mortuary, which is just a place where they store the bodies, I guess. I don't know. And then as you get farther into them, you get a couple suspicious looking tubes, but also mini boss fight. Okay, good. It will take that dude down real easy. And each one of them will drop a key. You only need 2 keys to get out of the area, but 3 keys can be gotten. And you do get rewarded for getting all 3 of them. So I might as well go for that if possible. Aside from that, I don't know if I would really recommend sticking around in this area as long as... get out of this area as fast as possible. There's the Nier Automata thing, and... yeah, that other enemy there is... I will grab that too. That other enemy there is called a Royal Guard, and he is a real tough customer, and if I don't have to see his attacks, I'd like to prefer not to. Like I said, given that this is kind of the universal end area of the game, you will be seeing a lot of them. Alright, this is the mortuary, I'm sure as you can tell from the bodies hanging from hooks and everything. And it's got its own unique little mini-boss fight. Okay, fine, show me some of your attacks. That, which is very rough. This, which even if you parry, he'll still continue going. And I think that's actually only the 2 attacks that he has, but it's enough. Those sort of things will take you down very easily, especially on the higher cell difficulties. Okay, double tracker fight. You gotta fight 2 of these guys at once. As you saw last time, they're kind of weakish, but they'll like roll behind you, they'll teleport to you. They will overall just be a pain, and you gotta fight 2 of them at once. And by the way, one of the things that I'm also going to try to avoid showing if I possibly can is the fact that they do inflict a unique type of status on you if you get hit by them. And it's a bad one. One that will actually cause you not to die, but to be in very bad... And we got the glitch where my head goes away. It was introduced in this latest update. I don't know what causes it or how to prevent it or how to make sure that it happens. Well, you know what? Hit me once just so I can show. So Malaise, as you can see my little health bar there, extra long because of the dead inside mutation that I have. That will, if you get it full up, reduce you to 10% health, and you'll stay at 10% health even if you try to heal with like food or whatever, until you get rid of the malaise. You can get rid of it by eating food, clean food, but that's not very relevant right now, using a potion charge, or a couple things like, for example... using the YOLO mutation, the heart there will reduce all of it when you die once. And a couple mutations will get rid of it if you fulfill some condition. It's pretty manageable right now because only the mini-bosses in the castle will be inflicting that on you. But as you get a little bit later in the game, it starts to appear more. I'll just say that. It starts to become a little bit more common. But yeah, just to kind of get the show off there, these guys, the mini bosses here are a little bit unique in the sense that they will inflict 2 of you whenever you get hit by them. But hey, if you got a good enough run, you won't have to worry too much about it. Yeah, I'll take that. A little freezing is nice, but shields are also just great because they work as shields. It is 100% worth, you know, if you got nothing else to have like for a sub-weapon, it's 100% worth taking a shield. Get as much health as possible here. I think that's going to do me the best in the long run, unless I decide to try to go for more damage on the shield, which I'm not very concerned about getting damage with my shield right now. Yes, I saw that, and yes, I'm disappointed in myself too that I got a hit by it. Don't even fret, my dudes. Bam, bam, and take him down quick. That does have quite a wind-up on it, but like I said, if you get in his rhythm, Solaire. If you get in his rhythm, he will be killing you. Well, he'll be killing you if you don't have a shield. Like I said, the shield, that little invincibility barrier when you get hit, will stop him from attacking, but it's not something that you want to rely on a whole lot. This place otherwise is just a huge, huge maze. Got it. But here's the exit. If I just went over to the left like 1 second. Well, anyway, the more important bit here is that getting past that third key door, well, there's a lore room, but this is not like a consistent lore room. It just happened to spawn here. An interesting background to be sure. Relevant foreshadowing? Perhaps. And there, for some reason, the Tomb Raider gets her own portrait. Anyway, yeah, stats, blueprint, a lot of great stuff. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this blueprint right now because as soon as I jump down here, well, what am I even going to do to get up there? No, that's going to require like some more runes and stuff. All right, but yeah, you get a stat for that. You get a couple extra items. You get a blueprint, which gets replaced by an item later on after you get that and turn it in. It's some good stuff. Now, how do you even know who I am, Collector? I'm hiding my identity so well. Sure, random starter shield. I mean, I'll probably do like a survival run next time, kind of show that off. And I do want to unlock you, because it's a survival weapon, and it's also a real big blast. Very powerful grenade. I mean, as you can see, it does 8,000 damage, and it's not even like powerful grenade plus plus, which is nice. Oh, and I guess I should probably use the rest of my cells here too. Use them or lose them. Well, you lose them if you die, but if you win, you can actually keep them through the next area. Yeah, I think I'm doing pretty good. That should also reduce me back down to 0 malaise. Not that I'm going to be able to get any more malaise points at any other point in time here. And yes, the malaise, that sort of thing, is the terrible zombie disease that struck the island here, if you're keeping up on lore. Hey, it's the king. But more importantly, the Hand of the King. He is a character. Thankfully, I'm doing okay. Good synergies. Of course, having multiple phases. Ugh. The Hand of the King is one real rough fight, though, otherwise. He is a guy that attacks fast and attacks with little warning and attacks all the way across the arena. It's pretty frightening. However, with the sort of build that I got going on now, blitzing him down before he's able to do anything. Then there's the third phase. He is able to start... Perfect fight, by the way. He is able to start up an attack he's invincible with and do like a gigantic ground slam. Don't worry, once again, you'll be seeing way more of this guy's whole abilities in the future. Oh boy, oh boy. Well, anyway, I get a blueprint, get his weapon, the symmetrical lance, and it's not just his weapon. It is like a super good version of his weapon, which I still want to keep my twin daggers. They've been so nice this entire time. That unlocks his symmetrical lance. And there's his whole move set, which I kind of neglected to show over the course of that fight. But he also drops the first boss cell. That's your new game plus item. And that's, getting all of these things, all 5 of them, is going to be kind of the goal of the series. Walk back here a little bit more in case you want to check out what's going on. But of course, you know, gotta go have a chat with the king. 5, and I told you there's 5 of them total. And does it open up something? Oh boy, it opens up something. Said it can break shields. So, why? I don't know. There's not really too much reason as to why exactly you did that. And as you'll find out later in the story, I think the main character doesn't even know why he did that. But don't worry about it. Everything will be explained in due time. And I do believe that this just loops, but I'll let it play out for the first time here. Okay, I believe that's like all the credits and it's just looping now. New character unlocked. Not really, but hey, it's cool nonetheless. Anyway. You can keep going around here and, you know, messing around as Blobo. Even doing stuff like wall climbing. Neat, huh? But it doesn't really do too much. Now, the only thing that you can do is leave. That brings you all the way back to the beginning of the game. In the same way, minus one giant skeleton in the background. Not here. And that nets you one new rune, allowing you to do this at any point in time. As well as the cells, that extra gold, which I unlocked as an upgrade, and also secrets. Very nice. Even more secrets up there. Not too much I can do. And there's all the unlockables. Oh boy, there's a lot of them. I told you. And give me one boss cell. There it is. And it's just gonna get worse from here. Reduces healing fountains, lets you get the next boss cell, yeah. Well, you can also improve the legendary forge. Enemies become rougher and tougher. You start to see some of the tougher ones earlier. It's difficult. I'll see what's up with that last time. Not open yet. Yeah, so next time I'm gonna be conquering one boss cell mode. Oh boy, it's I mean, it's still not too bad, but it's gonna get worse.